Today, I'm going to be talking about the Phoenicians, another invented people of the ancient world, just like the Palestinians are an invented people of the modern world. And what's the purpose? To airbrush the Jews out of history. Before I get on with it, if you like the content of my YouTube channel, press like and subscribe. So let's get into the Phoenician. How can you say they didn't exist? They didn't exist. I'm just saying it. And if you look on any website, if you look it up, read any book, the first paragraph will be, there was never a people that called themselves Phoenician. So where does this name come from? After all, these famous people invented the alphabet, were famous explorers, almost conquered Rome. Where does that come from? How could you say, Simcha, that they didn't exist? Well, it comes from Greek, to describe Semitic people living along the coast of what is today Lebanon and Israel. When the Greeks saw Semites coming across, little kids would run up and say, "Mommy, Mommy, it's the Phoenicians," from the Greek word Phoeniki. And what does it mean? Why was the kid so excited to tell his mother that the Phoenicians were coming? Because it's not an ethnicity. Phoeniki means red, blue, purplish, the kind of color that the Greeks identified being in the heart of a flame. And the people who knew how to make that color, the dye makers, who didn't use indigo, plant-based, but used the murex shell, a shell of a snail that has a special ink that under a certain process you turn into this incredible color that lasts forever and doesn't run. These were special people, but they weren't an ethnicity or a nation. They were a trade. They were the dye makers. This dye, the Phoenician blue that the Israelites called chelet, this dye was so special that it's mentioned in the Bible. Moses commands the Israelites to wear it as one of the threads with fringes at the corner of their four-cornered garments. So special that there's a divine commandment to wear it. Now, why? It was so special because only royalty wore it. In Rome, you could lose your life for wearing it because it meant that if you were a commoner, that you're an insurrectionist, a revolutionary. Only aristocracy could wear the blue, the royal blue. That's where blue blood expression comes from. He has blue blood. It means he's an aristocrat. It comes from the dye, and the dye was made by the Phoenicians, the dye makers. And who were these dye makers? They were people who were self-identified as either Canaanites or Israelites. You mean some Phoenicians were Israelites? Yeah. But they are credited, the Phoenicians, with inventing the alphabet. Aleph, Bet are the first two letters of the Hebrew alphabet. They are credited as being great explorers. All the websites actually of all the Mediterranean countries boast that the Phoenicians were here first or second in ancient times. They were great warriors. Carthage was a Phoenician city, and they almost conquered Rome. Had they conquered Rome, all these languages that are today Latin, Roman-based, like French and Italian, would be Hebrew-based or Phoenician-based. They had a great general, Hannibal. That's Hebrew. It just means the chen of Baal, the grace of the Canaanite god Baal. My son's middle name is Hananiah, which means the grace of the Hebrew, the God of Israel. Wait a minute, what are you saying, Simcha? That it was Israelites who invented the alphabet? Israelites who explored the Mediterranean? Israelites who almost conquered Rome in the Punic Wars? Yeah, I'm saying it was also Israelites. Hannibal led a Hebrew-speaking army that had in it Baal worshippers and the worshippers of the God of Israel. But that was too much for anti-Semitic scholarship and anti-Semitic people to take in the last 2,000 years. that Israelites, Jews, almost conquered Rome. Too much. It was too much that Israelites, Hebrew-speaking Israelites, invented the alphabet and taught the Greeks and the rest of the world how to read and write. Too much. So suddenly they invented the Phoenicians. What the Greeks called a trade, the rest of the world till today calls a nationality, an ethnicity. And if you're a scholar and you say, yeah, I know that nobody ever called themselves Phoenician, but they were Canaanites. They were all Canaanites. They went everywhere. They explored Spain and Portugal and Greece and Italy, and the Israelites didn't go anywhere because you don't have a single website of any tourist bureau of any country in the Mediterranean that says Israelites were here in ancient days. It's always Phoenicians. The Israelites were afraid of the water. They're the only Mediterranean country that borders on the Mediterranean Sea that never went anywhere. Homebodies. It's just pure anti-Semitism. And what happens? For thousands of years, this has happened over and over and over again. The first step in getting rid of the Jews is getting rid of their history. But here's the irony. Scholars will agree that there was never a people that called themselves Phoenicians. They'll call them Canaanites. But guess what? There were Canaanites in ancient days, but there aren't Canaanites anymore. And the people that nobody mentions, the Israelites, at least nobody mentions in the context of the dye making and the alphabet and the exploration and the war on Rome, that people, the Israelites, the Jews, they existed then and they exist now.